People of the world, welcome back to Send It Rising. I am your host with wacky shirts. You know who I am, Kellen Kautzman. Our guest today, we met at a BNI National Speed Networking event. Have you ever heard of that? BNI is actually responsible for a lot of revenue that I've received. But for the first 6 months, talking to folks, I didn't make a single sale. This is very normal. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're feeling like, hey, I'm putting in the work, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, why isn't anything happening? It usually takes longer than you want it to, which is why most people wash out of these sorts of things because they don't want to wait that excruciating final week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks that it finally takes to begin the process of getting traction. Today, we're going to be talking about industrial belts, belts of all kinds, big belts, small belts. And I feel like a lot of people get this idea in their head that they want to get into an industry that is relatively sexy, whatever that means, right? People get obsessed with certain kinds of careers, and they don't realize how lucrative and satisfying working with something as, I don't know, utilitarian as a belt can be. And so, welcoming to the show, the one and the only industrial belt expert of the universe, Howard Rudin.
Thanks for having me here, Kellen. I appreciate it. It's nice meeting you at that meeting. And yeah, industrial belts can be sexy. Absolutely. You know, it's not exciting. So like my pitch usually goes, French bread, garbage bags, your utility bill. What do they all have in common? They're all made on a belt, And people don't realize that just about everything that they're using at some point in time, if it's been manufactured in any kind of mass quantity, it's been processed, packaged, shipped, sorted, labeled, sealed, you name it, it's happened on a conveyor with a belt on it. And someone's got to replace those things, and that would be me.
I love it. It reminds me a little bit of Dirty Jobs. I forget the guy who's
Mike Rowe, for sure.
Thank you, Mike Rowe. I always forget his name. But yeah, this isn't necessarily a dirty job, right? It's not like you're in a sewer somewhere doing something heinous.
No, I have been at what we call solid waste processing facilities, which could also be called a poo factory.
My son would get a kick out of that.
But listen, so that's actually a massive industry, believe it or not, is wastewater processing and very special belts that are made to do that. But so I was just talking about this today with somebody, is that when I first started in the business, it's a family business that's been open 60 plus years. I started over 25 years ago. And when I'd first go see clients, I was wearing a shirt and a tie. And then I'd have to flip my tie over my shoulder to make sure it doesn't get caught in gears. And then invariably with my large belly hanging over something, I'd end up with a grease stain across the middle of my shirt. So I tossed the shirt and tie, quickly reached out to my local Salvation Army used clothing store, and buy a bunch of $5 shirts. So if they get all crapped up, I don't care.
It's real interesting. We see that sometimes with websites. There's this notion that all the bells and whistles are what people want, but sometimes when they see bells and whistles, they see dollar signs. And so they don't necessarily want the garage door repair company to have like the most flashy site out there. I've seen some of the most basic sites convert at the highest rates and rank the best in Google because the people that are shopping for them want that. They don't want anything too fancy.
Well, we've been very fortunate with some SEO terms, and we're actually in the process of redoing. We have two websites, and we're redoing them both, and adding a web store for one line, which is fairly standard as opposed to custom. And it's if you know what people are looking for, and you can tag your stuff appropriately, they will find you. I have clients for some of these products worldwide. And here's a secret. We are 3 people in a 1,500 square foot office in the middle of Wallington, New Jersey, which is nowhere. I stock a bunch of small stuff. Most of my other stuff gets shipped direct from the belting manufacturer to the client. And the client just wants to keep their lines running. They want to keep those Amazon boxes getting off the line and into the truck. They want to keep plastic bags being made, whatever it is. I have a big client. They're a commercial bakery, a couple 100,000 square feet of commercial bakery, big building. And
Mm.
when these guys are going full bore, it's 15,000 baguettes an hour.
Whoa.
Yeah, a lot of bread. And the belts are anywhere from 48 inches to 120 inches wide. So, like, when that stuff goes down, Howard, when can you get here? When can your guys get here to fix it? And the people I work with,
Massive. Yeah, they have to schedule downtime. They have to know that belts will break at a certain time. But I mean, you are the bearer of, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of revenue. Like
well,
you're
we've
that
been
guy.
blessed. We are
Yeah.
a seven-figure gross sale company for sure.
Mhm.
Um, and really, it's about, and I've had people describe me this, Howard, you're not the cheapest guy on the planet, but it's all about service, like
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
Another tagline on my social media feed is belting never sleeps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If it's 3 in the morning and you get a call, because look, I mean, because they're hemorrhaging massive amounts of money. Not to mention they're stressed. They're
Uh,
like, we need a solution for this now. So you're a firefighter.
Putting out fires is absolutely what I do for sure. I had this same large client that had a belt go down Friday morning. 8 o'clock that evening, they were at the airport picking up a belt flown in from a supplier in Georgia, and it was it cheap? Absolutely not. It was an expensive fix. But what's more expensive, losing 3 days of production or spending $10,000 to
Do
get
you
it?
ever sell these guys backup belts, replacement belts?
I do. I try to, that's all about trying to keep people with some stock, depending on what it is. Like this particular client, they've got about half a dozen mission critical belts that I
Yeah.
actually stock in my massive warehouse. Now,
Warehouse. That's
you
right.
know, but
Yeah.
when this belt breaks and they can't make bread, they call me up. I throw it in my car and I drive it over there,
Oh,
which is why
wow.
they call me, because that's the service
You
part.
can't beat that. Yeah, you can't beat that, especially in your industry. It's, these people they're panicking,
Well,
they're
and you don't realize it, it's actually a fairly competitive business.
Mhm.
There's a good amount of people out there banging doors, trying, and especially the big facilities, everybody knows who they are in the industry. It's no secret. There's, like I said, 200,000 square foot of bakery, there's a lot of belt. These guys spend six figures a year with me,
Yeah.
and depending on what it is, there's good margins on there, there's hires on other, but again, service the client, get in there, answer the phone. I'm always on the phone. It's, they know if they call, I'm going to answer. And it's
Yep.
funny because, like anything else, as I see the phone ringing, I'm like, bricka, bricka, duck, 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 duck. And then, of course, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not happy to answer it, but they're
Right.
calling me. They're not
That's
calling
right. That's right. Good morning. It's and the mental fortitude that it takes to understand how you're going to evolve as a person. It's reminiscent of becoming a father. I think that first kid is the biggest shocker to people because they go, okay, it's never going to be the same. Like it's from henceforth, my life has forever changed. And I feel like once you take that first phone call at 2 a.m., as that belt guy, you're like, okay, so I am going to be sleeping differently now, you know?
just, it's, and it doesn't happen all the time, but it does. I mean, I've been on vacation
Yep.
in Barbados
That's
setting
right.
up a delivery during Superstorm Sandy.
Oh,
I
yep.
was I was literally standing in Hoboken, New Jersey, on a cliff by Stevens Institute because that was the only place I could get service,
Yep.
and I set up a repair for a client in Connecticut.
Yep.
I mean, that's what you do, or you could let them call somebody else.
Well,
You know,
that's just it. It's exactly right. It's like, and what I think a lot of maybe younger entrepreneurs don't necessarily realize is to make the parenting analogy stretch a bit further. It's easy to take care of kids for a weekend. That's
mm.
not hard. There's nothing hard about it. You fill them up with sugar. You go do all their favorite activities, and that's why it's great to be a grandparent, right? So easy.
Absolutely.
But 4 years into it, 7 years into it, 12 years into it, it's like, yeah, you might be feeling a little bit differently about it than you initially did, and picking up that call and staying calm, and it's a
Not
grind.
always, listen, I'm a salesman, so I don't always have to be excited about it, but I
Mhm.
have to sound excited about you know. And that's, listen, everyone's got those clients that are a pain in the neck. And my experience has been that the less a person spends with you, the bigger pain in the neck they are,
Isn't that interesting?
because the
Yeah.
bigger guys, they're like, they get it, they know. And especially now with supply chain and manufacturing issues and all this stuff, the bigger guys, they get it. They're not complaining because at the end of the day, they are passing some of those costs on to their clients. But they know this is the cost of doing business.
Yeah,
You want to buy.
I just did a TikTok about that where I think at least millennials and Gen Y and whatever, there's this sort of hustle culture. Everyone's like, you got to hustle and you got this and that. I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's put that over here. What no one talks about is being polite and nice and doing what you say you're gonna do. Like you do those three things. It's like because please and thank you go so far. Yep, it's sir, ma'am. I mean, just like little things you can
Yeah.
do. I mean, it's wild how effective that is. And what I've noticed is the multimillionaires that I talk to, they tend to be like that. And then like the upstarts, like I'm going to make so much money. They tend to be the ones that are like more rude and more like brash. And it's like, that's not how this works. This isn't Shark Tank.
How come nobody's calling me back? Because you never responded in the first place. The waste processing facilities I've been into, nobody answered their call. The craziest thing is that I hear from people who are like, my favorite email response or phone response is thank you for getting back to me so quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the guy tethered to my phone, but it's my business. So if somebody sends me an email inquiry, either I'm going to handle it or one of the people working with me is going to take care of it. At the very least, we've gotten your inquiry. It's in process. We will get back to you as soon as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes miles. I've picked up big clients like that. Like Pitney Bowes, Netflix, Reynolds Aluminum. These are massive companies that buy from me.
Yeah.
Because when they send me an email, we respond.
That's right.
They want a product. I get it. I'm honest about the price and when they can expect to receive it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing too is I come from somewhat of a scarcity mindset. Both of my parents were teachers. And so we weren't really swimming in the money, like North Dakota teachers, 49th lowest paying state for teachers anyway. And so as an adult, I just assume my default setting is assuming people don't have money. People have so much money, Howard. They're like, you know what I mean? They are swimming. They just don't want to spend it. And there's a huge difference between not having it and being a little angsty about spending it.
So that goes back to the best thing. One of the best things my wife has ever taught me is good, fast, or cheap. Pick two.
Yep.
And you want a good and fast, not a problem, not cheap.
Yep.
And clients, I tell them, you want to buy cheap, buy cheap. You'll see me in a couple of months and replace it. Or if you spend a little more money, you'll get something that'll work a long time for you. And really, more than anything else, following up and doing what you say you're going to do is really just critical.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, in your industry, you talked a bit about ranking well. Do you know what keywords you rank well for?
So we rank first page organically for ceiling bands.
Okay.
All right. And what those are Teflon fiberglass belts that are used in pairs, in tandem on automated equipment that literally heat seals the top of plastic bags. Mm-hmm. So I have clients in South America who are doing medical packaging with these. I've got bakery clients who are using those belts. I've got an armory in Arkansas that is packaging ammunition for our fighting men and women.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool stuff. And if you Google ceiling bands, under the 5-6 ads on top of the page, you'll see the Ace Belting Company.
I see.
And
so there are ads being run for those terms. Is it something that people sell in Google Shopping?
You'll see them on Amazon, and typically the suppliers in Amazon are from China.
Okay.
And again, good, fast, or cheap.
Interesting. So some of these items that you sell, you can just hop on Amazon and you can just order them that way.
Yeah, no, we are competing with them, absolutely. But the other thing is, if you find them, like you reach out to someone on Amazon, this is the one item they have. that size.
Oh, I see. Right. You're kind of piecemealing your solution as opposed to
come to me.
okay.
I'm like, Howard, listen, I like this one, but can we tweak the size? Can we change the spec on it to fit my application a little bit? And that's where I excel. Because
I wonder how many people order stuff from Amazon, it doesn't work, or they can't install it, or they can't fix it. Because that would be my main thing. If I had a warehouse full of, I don't know, I'm making pandas. I'm making cute cookie pandas. That's what this particular metaphor is going to be. And I've got this machine that I don't look. I'm trying to sell panda cookies. That's what you know what I mean. Like everything else is ancillary to the fact that I'm trying to sell some panda cookies, right? And so I know that I need XYZ widget on my conveyor belt for it to work, you know, and I'm going to save some money, right? I've gone what I believe is the expensive route before. And I'm like, you know, I know what I need. So I go to Amazon and I click and I order whatever. And then I'm wrong, right? Like it's not what it is. Like, yeah, try to return that, you know, like, can you, how does that work?
Well, you can possibly return it. That depends on the vendor, but it still doesn't solve your problem.
Well, right, exactly. And now you're down for that whole time because you don't actually have the thing that you need.
Or you'll call the guy you bought the equipment from and he'll say, not a problem. We've got that belt and widget for you, but it's 8 weeks to get it to you and it's going to be $10,000. Or you reach out to me and I say, Cal, it's a week and a half to get it to you and it's a $500 part. And this is why I think this will work because I've used it in the panda cookie industry is one of my biggest.
Oh, I know. You're huge. You're huge in the panda cookie.
It's my biggest vertical ever. And
yeah.
And that's it. And listen, you want a sample piece of the material, you want to get it in your hand before you buy, not a problem. Depending on the client, if you're a repeat client and it's a big deal, we'll do a paid trial. All right. You give me a purchase order, you put it on your machine. If you're happy with how it performs, you're buying it. If you're not happy, well, I'll take it back. As long as you can give me good reasons why it's not working the way I said it would, you know?
That's the other thing too, is I don't know the first thing about these machines. And you must have like a sixth sense that you've developed over the years of, you know, where to buy them, what actually works, how long it'll last, when it's going to break, all that stuff.
Well, invariably, the worst part about any production line are the people working it.
Sure.
There's the human factor. Like I have clients who they'll replace these belts and then as opposed to having them set up to run straight and proper, they'll just flip the switch on it. And then Howard, why is this all chewed up on one side? Because you didn't take the additional steps required. Or someone's running it, not paying attention. I sell items used in the mailing industry for guys who do direct mail advertising.
Yeah.
Part of what they do is they inkjet label your address on the mail piece.
Yeah.
And run it under a UV dryer. So the belts are ready to take temperature. They can handle up to 500 degrees.
Yeah.
But if you turn the conveyor off and leave the dryer on, you're going to fry them. I don't care what you do.
Right, of course. Yeah, you're just going to,
So people are like, oh, my belt burnt up. Did you shut the heat source off along with the conveyor? Oh, no, I didn't. Well,
yeah. Do you ever do trainings and stuff where you like walk in and you're like, guys, this is what you got to do?
Sure, absolutely. And I have information. I have things that we've written up over the years on how to track belts to make sure your belts run straight. If you want to install your own belts, there's some people, depending on the industry, will take an open piece of material, loop it through the machine, and cook it to make it endless themselves. I can train you on that equipment. And I have equipment that makes belts from 1 inch wide up to 84 inches wide.
Interesting.
You know? And we could, because that's value added stuff that you want the client happy. Because once they buy that, it's like you can only sell that $40,000 splicing press once.
Right.
But they need to keep buying the belt that goes with it.
Yeah. It's a recurring revenue model. It's slow because you want to maximize how many like the quality of the belts that you're selling, obviously.
Sure. Listen, there's some stuff that I sell that lasts years, literally years.
Yeah.
And it's not inexpensive, but if it's properly taken care of and you do some preventative maintenance, which nobody ever does preventative maintenance.
Of course not. God, no.
You know, it's running. And my guys run some.
I got a question for you. I'm curious if you have a spreadsheet or you ever like reach out to people when you know their stuff's about to break. Like, you know what I mean? Like you sold them something a year or two ago and you're like, this one, like, hey guys, you might want to
I
consider.
try to follow. No, I don't have an exact sheet like that. And really, typically, what we're doing is we're going through sales figures and who haven't we heard from in a while,
Yeah.
or especially say my top 25% clients. I'm well aware of what they're running. I have surveys on a lot of their facilities, which will tell me belt number 123 is this wide and this long and this material.
Right.
So they call me up. Howard, belt 123 is looking shabby. Great. Hey,
I
check
see.
456 too, because we put those on at the same time. Chances are you need to replace both of them.
Oh, there we go. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I mean, if you're a business owner, it's kind of like just wait for the stupid thing to snap. You know what I mean? That's what I'm sure. That's what like the vast majority of them are
Oh my
thinking. Just
God.
like whatever, just fine. You know what I mean? Just run it ragged.
I've had guys literally for like a $5 belt, right?
Yeah.
Like a V belt, something you'd use to run the fan on in your house, just a
Right.
fan belt. $5 belt, $200 delivery fee because they needed that machine up and running
Ah,
today.
that's hilarious.
Well, I'm like, I'd be happy to come in, take a survey, give you a quote for $300 worth of belt, so you'll have every single one of those that you might possibly need in the next couple of years.
That's too good. I
Nah,
actually, I have an X-Wave Flex longboard, electric longboard that I absolutely love, and it's belt driven.
there you
It's
go.
fast, and for the longest time, there was this kind of weird noise coming from it. I don't know what the deal was. I couldn't figure it out. I tried, and I ended up WD-40ing it. I did a million different things, right? And I finally got my light out one day, and there was a stone, like a little pebble, it found its way, and it created like a lump. And then now I'm just like, did that mess with the integrity of this belt? Because of course it did. I'm going like 25 miles per hour down the road with this pebble in there. Like that can't be good for the belt.
Well, sooner or later, yeah, and it's just a drive belt, but sooner or later that'll affect how it fits in the pulley and
Yeah,
the sprocket that it sits in.
yeah.
But oh please, I've got guys who like, especially so people don't realize bakeries, if they don't maintain their equipment, like bread dough and things like that, when it hardens, is hard like cement. So
Oh,
it will literally, you'll take a 50-inch wide belt, and somewhere on that roller, there's a lump of crazy hard dough. So sooner or later, you've got two belts. It will literally cut the belt.
wow.
Little preventative maintenance stuff like that, sanitation,
Yeah.
taking care.
Are
If
there
you,
any belts that are under extreme pressure?
so there are things
You know what I mean?
that
Like when they snap, they could hurt somebody.
well, I don't know about that. I mean, there's things. Well, I don't know if it's ever a good thing to get hit by that because if it's snapping like that, the tension is probably too high.
Yeah.
But there's belts that are literally made on looms, so they don't have a splice on them.
Oh,
So they take it's like making a tube sock, right?
okay.
Old school. They weave it and then they dip it in various layers of other material, typically neoprenes and stuff like that. And they run high speed lathes and CNC equipment on that.
Hmm.
If that goes, don't be near it. It's not,
Okay.
and those are not necessarily, these are belts that are like maybe at the most 1.5 millimeters thick.
Yeah.
Not really thick, but high tension, high speed. Something else is going to come loose too.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, you never want to get hit by that stuff.
No, I'll take a hard pass on that. Is there any sort of standard sizing for these things in the industry where, you know what I mean, where it's somewhat easy to reorder these, or it feels like everything's custom, but maybe I'm just ignorant.
Depends on the industry. So I do a lot in the direct mail advertising industry, and that is fairly industry standard.
Ah,
Right. So you have machine number 123 with belt number ABC. That's standard. I have a web store for that actually. So
nice.
so I've guys all over the planet buying these. I've sold these belts to India and Indonesia,
Yep.
because I had one guy using some of these machines to make what you call like bug traps. They're feeding cardboard through it. It's a friction, what they call a friction feeder. But the
Okay.
belts are standard there, as opposed to if you're running a bakery and you've got some large Italian bread line, those belts are made custom for you.
Mm,
But depending on the industry, there are some standards like power transmission, like the belt for your longboard. somewhere on that belt, there's a series of numbers,
Yep.
which if you speak belt, you know what it means, and we can replace that belt for you.
Interesting. Yeah, because I know they're gonna. I mean, that's probably the most dangerous thing about this is if one of the belts snaps because it's one belt for each wheel, you would get thrown off that thing so fast because you would just fly in the whatever direction the opposite of the way that the motor's running. You know what I mean? But oh, I love that thing, and the fact that it's belt driven is what makes it so powerful. It
Absolutely.
flies. It flies. It's so dangerous, and I love it. It's my favorite thing.
So
So,
send me a picture when you get a chance. See if you can find numbers on one of those belts.
oh yeah, I mean, yeah,
I'll hook
maybe
you
I
up
could.
with
That would
that.
be cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, God, how I'd replace it. I'm clueless on how I'd actually get it back on there. But so anyway, my mind's going into marketing mode. But so Reels, are you familiar with Instagram Reels?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
so Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and now Facebook just launched Reels, even though Meta is owned by Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
They're all playing in this space. And so I can't even say it's the future anymore because it's now.
Yeah.
And they're wildly popular. And I use the X-Way Flex longboard, the electric longboard, as a way to get views on TikTok. So I got 97,000 views on one of them. And all I do is barefoot longboard. And so like the start of the video, you can see my bare feet and then it pans up to me and I'm wearing a suit jacket. And then I just talk about, Facebook just launched Reels and blah, 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 some marketing thing or a social media thing. And it's been really effective. And so I'm wondering about your business and belts and that sort of stuff. Like, have you played with Reels?
We
Have
have
you
a pretty strong social media presence.
Nice.
Instagram and Facebook right now. We are posting also onto LinkedIn.
Okay.
The tag is made on a belt
Oh, nice.
on Instagram or Facebook.
I love that.
And really so that's the sexy stuff is we'll have pictures of finding graphically interesting pictures.
Yep.
To show people where I'm at. And I've actually made I've broken through the fourth wall on a couple of those.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. Or just like connecting with food manufacturers, which is a really good vertical for me. And seeing somebody who's got really cool bread out in San Diego.
Yeah.
Reaching out to them, and I have a client who saw my stuff on LinkedIn, got to me.
Oh, I love that.
And they make, I got them a labeling belt, something that applies a label to a bottle of seasoning.
Yep.
Yep. That's cool. So no, I understand that all that marketing, which is not traditional for industrial suppliers.
Right. It is now.
But it all folds into everything else. So if you go to my competitors, like I have, 3,300 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
For a 3-man shop, not so bad. If you go to anybody else in the industry, nobody's got more than 500 followers.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. And so my question to you is, are you doing posts? Well, you're obviously doing posts. I know you're doing posts. Are you doing Reels as well?
I haven't set up anything on my own.
You got to do this. That's my big takeaway for you is when you are out in the field, you got these great relationships. You point that camera at your face. Hey guys, it's Howard again. Here we're at whatever. And the thing too, so for example, I'll have guests on my show like you, and one of them was an executive private charter plane place. His name's Paul Salick. Great interview. I said, hey, can I come to your place and film a TikTok? And he's like, yeah, of course. He rolls out all the private jets. He'd like make, you know what I mean? And then I'm like longboarding around his place. It's real, literally one of his planes has a parachute. Like the whole plane has its own parachute that like gets the whole thing to, anyway. Point being that, like, as I mentioned before, Instagram Reels, because you already have a great Instagram audience, sign up for TikTok today, Howard, today. Just trust me. Trust me when I tell you, it's not just shaking booties and all that sort of stuff. Like there are a ton of small businesses that are getting a ton of followers and love and attention. And then YouTube, you can get a ton of subscribers. And what you do is you film the reel on just your native camera app. So you just go camera, video, and you film it, and then you upload it to all of these. And here's what you do. You go to Instagram, you upload it. You go to TikTok, same thing. Then you go to YouTube Shorts, and then you go to Facebook, and you put them on all of these platforms. And then it's so addicting, because then when you start getting those numbers, you're like 10,000 views, 25,000, 95,000 views, right? It's fun.
And all this stuff rolls into your internet presence. It all makes you.
And you'll probably rank better, because all of the links that you're getting from all the, like, Alphabet owns YouTube and Google, right? So if they see your subscribers jumping on YouTube and people are clicking from your YouTube and they're going and they're checking out, like, all of that is being captured, and it's really helping across rankings. And so now your keywords are doing better, and your SEO company's like, what's happening? We must be doing something so great. You're like, no. I'm creating reels, and that's why everything is jumping.
No, I'm a total believer in social media for suppliers all around, because they're doing it and no one's doing anything interesting.
I love it. And you're already ahead of the game.
So yeah, we've been on for a couple of years. So yeah. That would be the next iteration for sure.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So I want you to send me some reels that you do. And I want to see you on TikTok. I'll follow you on TikTok, and I'll comment on your stuff.
Done and done. It'll happen.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously Howard Rudin, the man when it comes to belts, all belt related items. What are the chances that you're into belts? Probably quite low. But if you know someone, if your uncle's cousin's brother has a manufacturing plant and or is producing something, you never know.
Hey, and listen, if you're turning your side hustle into a real hustle and you want to get amped up into real production, let's talk. I do a lot also in the cannabis industry. There's a lot of automation happening there. So, and I'm happy to be a resource for anybody. You know,
I love that. I love that.
Got to give them a way to keep it, right?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, you know the drill. YouTube.com/Send It Rising. If you're listening after the fact on iTunes, Spotify, or the 13 other podcast platforms that we are streaming, thank you so much. Why don't you swing by youtube.com/Send It Rising. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and all that sort of stuff. Check us out on TikTok, tiktok.com/Send It Rising. We're blowing up over there. It's been a lot of fun. Howard, I want to make sure that the fine folks know how and where to reach you. If someone wants to do that, what would they do?
Let's see, Instagram or Facebook, Made on a Belt. Power Lines Inc. or Ace Belting Company. Google either of those in beautiful downtown Wallington, New Jersey. All right. And we'll get in touch. We'll respond. I promise you we'll respond.
Oh, yeah. I got that vibe from you earlier in the show. He will wake up. Howard prefers calls at 3 to 3:30 a.m. Make sure it's Eastern time.
Yeah, exactly. That's my prime time, bro. That's my prime.
That's what this is best work. Is approximately those times.
Know if I'm polite or not, okay?
That's right. That's too funny. Howard, leave the fine folks with a final word of wisdom.
Final word: do the work. Do the work. Just do the work. Stop whining and do the work. That's it.
True words have never been spoken. Thanks, everybody. We'll see y'all next time.